Welcome back to La Pausa, episode 16. It is Monday, March 18th, and today we're going to get into a really unique topic that came up over the weekend about plastic fans. And I may be a unique person to talk about it because that's something I've been accused of being a number of times. I'm going to get into the topic, and I'm not going to say you're wrong. You're just going about this in the wrong way and you're mad at the wrong people if this is an accusation you're throwing around at people. So, I want to get into that topic today. Make sure you get in the comment section. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, there's plenty of passion that comes with this topic, good and bad, and it's a really interesting one. It's a business one, it's a cultural one, and it really says a lot about a lot of people and about the fan base. So I find this really interesting. So make sure you get in that comment section. While you're at it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, whether it's on YouTube, follow the podcast on Spotify, and of course, if you don't already, follow us on Twitter at Pitchside Pub. So the whole plastic fan controversy came up over the weekend because Ange Postecoglou, the Tottenham Hotspur manager, was asked if plastic fans were to be blamed for the recent, I think it was 6% price hike for season tickets for Spurs fans that was sort of announced recently. And there's so many problems with this. One, it's really a crap question to ask the manager, who has no influence over ticket pricing whatsoever. He may not have even known that the prices went up. If he has any influence over it, it's by making the team better, which is his job, and thus the team felt like they could charge more. But that probably wasn't why they did it. They did it because it's a business and they want to make money. And so the question was, is it plastic fans that are to blame for this sort of price hike? And I guess the common definition of the plastic fan is what gets me. Because it's the non-traditional fan, right? It's the non-local fan. If you grew up, outside the stadium, whether it's, Tottenham or in Fulham or in Wolverhampton or any of these other places, you grew up locally and you root for the club that's in your backyard, that's ingrained in the community, you're a real fan. And that anybody who didn't do that is somehow not a real fan. And on the one hand, I just want to tell you, you're so pompous, and that's just not how anything works. But you have to be sensitive to the long history and culture that comes with not just this sport, but particularly English football and the Premier League, which wasn't always the Premier League and was at first the English Premier League until they dropped the English in an effort to be more globally recognized and globally available. And there's just so many marketing things that go into this, which is part of why I like it as a marketing executive in my other life. But you do have to understand the cultural sensitivity to it, and I am sympathetic to that and to any fan who feels like they are getting priced out of their own club. I don't think that's okay. So my stance on this is, calling a fan plastic just because they didn't grow up in the shadow of the stadium or may have only become a fan in the last few years is wrong. But raising the prices so that local fans can't afford to go see their team anymore is also wrong. But the part I'm missing is what one has to do with the other. Look at my situation. I am clearly American. I do not live anywhere near Manchester. I've never been to Manchester. I've never been to England. I've obviously never been to a Manchester City football game, but I'm obviously a huge fan. You see the jersey on the wall behind me. I dedicated an entire entire portion of my life to creating football content because I have fallen so in love with the game. And I fell in love with Manchester City as the club I want to support. And it was before their most recent run of success, but after they had already become a larger club, right? I do not claim 25, 30 years of fandom and of support. I'm a 40-year-old man who has only been a football fan for about a decade. I got into this sport later in life, because the product simply wasn't available to me. American soccer sucks, at least the Pro League. MLS is not enjoyable. I still, as much as I love the game, I don't watch the MLS. It's trash. I love the American national team, and it's getting better. But our domestic product is trash. And so the European game a decade ago wasn't all that available to me. It only became prominent here in the States, in the last 10 years or so. And even then, even now, if I want to watch any more than about 2 games a weekend, I've got to pay for extra subscription services on a platform called Peacock, which is NBC's platform here in the States, and I do. And if I want to watch Serie A, I have to pay for Paramount, which I do. And also the Champions League is on there. So if I want to watch every Manchester City game, I have to have a full cable package. I have to pay for Peacock. I have to pay for Paramount, and I have to pay for ESPN because the FA Cup and Carabao Cup games are on there. So I have to pay for a full cable package and 3 additional streaming services just to watch my team play. And I do. So you can't question the support of somebody just because they don't live outside the stadium or get to go to games. Additionally, the fact that I have not been to a Manchester City game is not for lack of desire. It's lack of funds. I wanted to go for my 40th birthday. My wife and I priced it out. And between flights and hotels in a couple nights and tickets and food, it was going to cost us $4,000 or $5,000. So we just said we can't afford that right now. We've got kids, we've got other stuff we want to do. So we said we couldn't afford it. So don't blame me, right? Who are you blaming? How are you blaming the plastic fans for the raise in ticket prices? If anything, it's hurting me more because you get to walk out your door or take a train, whereas I've got to pay for $3,000 worth of flights and hotels. So am I plastic because I've never been to a game? Your definition is wrong. And I think that's what Ange Postecoglou was saying. He said, and I'm not going to do the accent or call anybody mate as much as I'd like to, but he said, well, who are you calling plastic? I'd be plastic, right? He's from down under. He's from the other side of the world. And yet he has a love for the Premier League that made it a destination that he wanted to coach in because of the level of competition, because of the prestige of it, because of the history of it, that we can all respect even though we didn't grow up in it. And I will never claim that watching Manchester City win the Champions League, means as much to me as an 80-year-old grandfather who's been going to games his entire life and was with the team when they went down and came back up and all this stuff. No, of course that's going to mean more to you. Just like watching the Philadelphia Phillies win a World Series in 2008 left me in tears at my favorite bar crying for joy. Because I grew up 20 minutes from the stadium and I went to games all my life and I shared that love and that passion with my father and with my family members. I don't have that with Manchester City, obviously. But that doesn't make me any less of a fan, and it doesn't make me plastic, right? And I realize these allegations are not being directed, at me, in mass, although I have received plenty of those allegations, and that's part of what happens when you are American and when you pick a club that ends up being wildly successful. And I did get on the Manchester supporter train just at the right time, about 2 years before their current run. And I didn't know that was going to happen. But let's think about that. Why would somebody like me pick a club like Manchester City, right? Because that's the accusation that gets thrown around. Oh, Manchester City fans are plastic. Well, the ones that have been around forever are not. So you're directing that at comments like me. Well, who the hell am I going to choose, right? Fulham? How am I going to watch their games? Right? When I first started out, you watched the games that were on TV. Well, who was on TV? Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal. So it was obviously going to be one of those kinds of clubs. That's who's available to me. I'm sitting here thousands of miles away. I can't get a Bournemouth game, right? That's not what's on TV. The big clubs are what's on TV. That's why Manchester United is the most widely followed club in the world, because of the ridiculous amount of success they had in the 90s. It's why Barcelona and Real Madrid are some of the most widely followed clubs in the world, because of the tremendous amount of success. So it's such a fine line between calling somebody a front runner, or in this case, a plastic fan, and just the fact that you're going to be drawn to the content you can consume, right? Why do I have 800 something followers? Because my stuff's getting out there. It's getting in front of you and you go, okay, I kind of like that. I'll follow this guy. If you don't follow the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. We'll put a plug in there. But that's what happens. It's about what you have access to. I didn't have access 10 years ago to bottom of the table teams, right? Now I do because I've got a streaming platform. But if I changed affiliation, then I'd be plastic, right? That's the other accusation is plastic fans are those who change with every bump in the road. So yes, if Manchester City gets charged with any or all of these 115 allegations and ends up in League 2 and I decide, okay, well, I don't really want to root for them anymore. Now I'm going to root for Arsenal. Yeah, call me plastic as hell. You'd be right. But that's not going to happen, right? I'm going to watch League 2 games, however I do that here in the United States. That'll be a challenge. But I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to watch them work their way back up because that's what supporters do. Right? So just because someone comes from the other side of the world does not make them plastic. And to call them that is ignorant. You are not correct. You are wrong to make that accusation. Watch how they go about being a fan. If you want to call somebody plastic because they never actually watch it and all of their knowledge comes from FIFA, by all means. Right? But I've taken the time to make an entire channel and increase my knowledge of the game. Am I plastic? I don't think I am. Now, the fan base that is upset about the increase in ticket prices, you have every right to be angry about that. That is putting business and profit ahead of the fans. And the fans are what makes this game. And that is a trend that has happened not just in Tottenham. They're the most recent example, and they happen to have an outspoken manager who had a brilliant response to this, by the way. Ange's response to this was impeccable. And if it upset you because now you can't afford to go to the games, you are mad at the wrong people. You shouldn't be mad at Ange, and you shouldn't be mad at fans who come from all over the world. Because you know how Tottenham can afford to go get some of the players they've gone out and gotten over the past few years? Because the Premier League is the wealthiest is the wealthiest league in the world. The Premier League is the wealthiest league in the world because of the global reach. Because of the fact that I have to pay Peacock for the rights to it, and Peacock, or NBC, paid the Premier League a ton of money for the exclusive US rights. So that money funnels into your club, and that's how you can afford to do this. Now, that doesn't help you against other Premier League clubs who are also getting that money, but it's why the 10th best Premier League club, Tottenham, I'm not calling you that, I'm just saying, the 10th best Premier League club is probably a top 4 team in Italy, or Germany, or certainly in France, or in Spain. That's why the depth is so much better. That's why every Premier League team is almost as good as any other league. I'm being extreme here, but the bottom to mid-table team, you could take Wolves and you could put them in France and they'd be a top 4 team, right? It's the level of competition in the Premier League is that good because of the money that is coming in from the globalization of the game. So it's a double-edged sword, and you need to be careful what you wish for. No, it doesn't help you get into the top 4 in the Premier League, but when you go and play in the Europa League next year, Tottenham, it's going to make you much more competitive in that league against a Swiss team, right? Or another French team, or a Turkish team, right? You are that much more equipped to beat them. So be careful what you wish for. That said, I don't like the hiking of ticket prices, and no loyal supporters, local, however you want to define it, the true fans that have been going to games since they were a young kid for $1 here, $1 there, and could always afford to go, and now find themselves not being able to go. That is a problem. It is not, however, a problem that is unique to the Premier League or even soccer or even European soccer. We see it here in America. I used to be able to go to a baseball game for less than $10. Now you can't get in the door for under $25. Even on bad teams when there's nobody in the stands. Can't do it. Football games, American football. It's not worth it. It's $100. It's $100 to sit nowhere near the field and not be able to see anything. I'd rather watch it on TV. So this is a common problem in sports where you have to end up being extremely wealthy in order to be able to go. And that is a problem, and it's even more of a problem with English clubs who have been so ingrained in the community for all these years. But it's not because of what you think are plastic fans. Or even if you forget this term, it's not from tourists. It's not from the global fans. Yes, if they're coming from freaking Abu Dhabi, they have more money. But that's not who most of these people are. Most of them are people like me. I'm a working class guy who works for a marketing company and has enough to have a roof over his head and feed his kids and do a few fun vacations a year, right? And I can't afford to come see a game in Manchester because it's so expensive to get there, let alone the ticket. The ticket isn't even the problem. It's the travel. So this anger at the plastic fans is misplaced. Your anger should be with your club. It should be with the price gouging. It should be with the fact that they are prioritizing that extra little bit of money, because that's not where their big money's coming from. Their big money's coming from the TV contracts. That's how you go out and you get James Madison. That's how you go out and you get Brennan Johnson from Nottingham Forest. And the extra money that they've spent. And it's not from that extra couple bucks on the ticket sales. So they're trying to get blood from a stone here, and you've got every right to be upset about that. I'm upset for you. And anybody who is suggesting that there should be some sort of allotment or designation set aside for that group of fans, I support it. Now, I don't know how to go about doing that. Is it you have to be within a certain geographic location, or do you have to join a supporters club? I'd be fine with that. Do you have to have been a fan for a certain amount of time? If you have been a season ticket holder for 20 years, your price should not go up, or it should only go up for the cost of living, or something much more incremental that you can afford. I would support any of those decisions. I would wholeheartedly support that. I'd even support it if it meant guys like me who are coming over have to pay more for the ticket. Because I'm only going to get there once or twice in my life. I'm only going to get to the Etihad once or twice in my life. I can't even say the damn word. I'm not going to get there a lot. So if I got to pay $50 more when I do, so be it. Because I'm already paying $5,000 to come to this game anyway and make a whole trip out of it. So I don't care. That's fine. Upcharge me and make it cheaper for the folks who are there every day. I am perfectly fine with that. But don't challenge my fandom. That's where I get pissed off. Don't tell me I'm not a real fan. Don't tell me I'm plastic. Don't tell me I don't appreciate the club. Don't tell me I can't enjoy the success as much. Don't tell me I don't know the game because I'm American. Don't tell me I don't know the game because I've never seen him in person. None of that has anything to do with the cost of tickets that you're angry about. Your anger is misplaced, your anger is in the wrong spot, and your anger is with the wrong people. Be mad at your owners. Your greedy-ass owners who are jacking the price up. That's not Angie's fault. That's not your international fans' fault. It's not my fault. Get your anger going at the right place, because your argument doesn't make any sense. Am I missing something? I genuinely want to know, because I'm relatively new to this plastic term. I understand the concept of front runners. I understand sports business. I've worked in sports at high levels. I work in business. I understand the economics and the mechanics of it. I understand front-running fans, and I get why people hate them. What am I missing? Is there something more about plastic fans that I'm missing? Because I don't see how the influx of global fans is to blame for the rise in prices. And if your team, if your club is using that as an excuse for raising prices, they have a bridge to sell you. They are pulling the wool over your eyes. They are blowing smoke up your ass. They are lying to you. They are not telling you the truth. That is not why. Greed is why. Do not believe it. Get your anger pointed in the right place. Leave some comments down in the comments section. I would love to get your thoughts on this. I know it's a divisive topic, but I want people's anger to be pointed in the right direction. And I don't think pointing it at fans from abroad who want to love your team and want to love your game and want to support your club is the right way to go about doing it. Get your anger pointed at the right place, but get in that comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for me down below on YouTube if you're watching. On Spotify, make sure you follow the podcast if you're listening on there. And, of course, follow us on Twitter at Pitchside Pub. You can call me Plastic on there as well. Once again, this is La Pausa, a Pints and Punditry podcast here at the Pitchside Pub. Thanks, as always, for watching.